Hello everyone and welcome to Electric City Wiffle. I am your host Mitch Hipshooter in the studio as always to bring you the highlights from Slate 4. And we have two crucial series for you today with the Savages vs Smash Bros and Dynasty taking on the Stunners. But first, we ask that you please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel where we upload new content every Thursday. And for even more new content, follow us on social media. The links to our accounts are in the description box below. The first series of Slate 4 was the Savages against Smash Bros, with the always important Power Surge belt on the line in Game 3. The Savages enter this series undefeated at 5-0, and look to silence any of the remaining doubters, while Smash Bros enters at 6-2, atop the standings, and look to remain the team to beat. Game 1, perhaps expectedly, was a pitcher's duel from start to finish, as each pitcher would roll through the opposing team's lineup to combine for 19 strikeouts in the game, a new league record.
That was a whole run.
Each pitcher would also have one blemish in the game. The first one would be given to Smash Bros. Captain and ace Josh Longo via the Savages captain and ace Brian Kelly in the bottom of the third, as he floated this shot to right just over the fence for the 1-0 lead.
Let's go! Let's go!
Zulo's got to get to the wall there, Ken.
Marco Rudell, I think, with a head.
And as Josh closed out the third inning, the Savages stood just 3 outs away from a victory and from staying undefeated. The leadoff hitter in the top of the fourth for Smash Bros. Was Jesse Horwardell, who stepped in and changed the plans.
Get out! Here it is!
Tie game, my God!
Thankfully for the Savages, BK was able to get the outs and the defense he needed to get out of the inning with the score tied, including getting Jesse Horwardell to fly out to end it.
Oh, get that! Jeff Loose!
In the bottom of the inning, the Savages had a chance to walk it off, and things started well when BK doubled the center to lead off the inning. But the next batter, Alex Kelly, struck out, and so did Jeff Loose. Then after a walk to David Bovia, Josh Longo got BK to go down swinging to send us to the first swing-off of the season. The first couple rounds of the swing-off were frankly hard to watch. Finally, up stepped Zach Longo with a chance to put Smash Bros. In position to win the game. And he came up a foot short. As confirmed by the Savages' Alex Kelly. So as Savages captain BK stepped to the plate, he had the chance to walk it off for his squad. But he didn't. And after Josh Longo came up short, Alex Kelly now had the chance to walk it off, but he dribbled the opportunity away. And as we entered round 6 of the swing-off, it officially tied the record for longest swing-off in league history. And after this grounder by Jesse Horwardell, it looked like it may never end. Thankfully, in stepped rookie David Bovia, the walk-off hero from Slate 3, who once again played that role perfectly.
Bovia's done it, baby! It's over!
Another walk-off.
Mr. Walk-Off himself.
Bovia's done it, baby! It's over!
Another walk-off. For the second time in as many slates, Davy Boy David Bovia walks it off to keep the Savages undefeated. As we roll on to Game 2. In Game 2, as they do, the Smash Bros started Zach Longo on the mound, while the Savages stayed with their hoss, the boss, BK. Game 2 wouldn't be as much of a pitcher's duel as Game 1, but it kind of started as one, with both pitchers posting zeros in the first inning. Although for Zach Longo, it wasn't all that easy. After AK singled to lead off, and then David Bovia walked, the Savages had 2 on with no outs. But Zach struck out BK, and then Jeff Loose, before AK grounded out to third to end the threat. BK had a bit of an easier time on the mound, allowing only a walk, but AK's inning wasn't as easy, having to do all the dirty work in the field. Nothing important happened in the top of the second, except the most important thing ever, when fan favorite Jeff Loose picked up his first hit in the league. The action picked up in the bottom half of the second, when with 1 on and 1 out, Zach Longo ripped a single right back at BK, and then Austin Zulo hit this 3-run homer to right center. And you know what that means. It's gritty time. Now down 3-0 in the third, the Savages immediately responded with this Alex Kelly 2-run bender to left to cut the lead to 1. But this ground out by Davey and this strikeout by BK ended the threat, and the Smash Bros took a 3-2 lead into the bottom half of the inning, where they would immediately add to their lead with this Zach Longo line drive home run. Eventually, BK would buckle down to get 3 outs to end the inning, and the Savages would head to the last inning down 4-2. In the fourth, Zach Longo would shut down any hopes the Savages had, with this strikeout of Jeff Loose, a pop-up by AK, and finally a strikeout of the Game 1 hero, David Bovia, to take Game 2 4-2 and even the series at 1 apiece, as we head to Game 3 with both the series and the Power Surge belt on the line. Despite the stakes in Game 3, it simply wouldn't live up to the hype. As the sun beat down and the temperature went up, BK took to the mound for his 3rd start of the day, something only he and Jimmy Cole of Arm Barn would even attempt. And in plain terms, he was gassed, and Smash Bros quickly took advantage. Smash Bros would go on to put up a mercy 6-run inning, punctuated by this Zach Longo 2-out grand slam.
You've been there the whole time. You didn't know.
In the bottom of the first, the Savages offense tried to rally on the back of a David Bovia double and single. And this BK single would bring in a run.
Oh,
But one was all they would get after Josh struck out AK to end the inning. BK went back out there for the second inning like a captain does, but it immediately started badly again with a single to Zulo, a walk to Josh, and another home run to Zach Longo. It didn't end there, though, as another single by Zulo, and then a single off the bucket by Josh, followed by a walk to Jesse Horwedel, and then this two-run double to Zach Longo, which made it an 11-1 game. And in a moment of tell me things aren't going well without telling me they aren't going well, BK intentionally walked two batters in a row to bring in the sixth run and end the misery. The Savages would basically wave the white flag in the third and sent AK to the mound, where Smash Bros would put up another 6-run mercy inning. And with the league mercy rule for a game being a 10-run lead or more after 3 innings, the game was pretty much over. And the only drama at this point was whether Zach Longo could become the first player in league history to hit for the cycle. Needing a triple, which is a ball hit off the fence in the air, and having only one more chance to do it, he stepped into the box. Zach Longo making history with that triple. And with that, this game was basically history too. As aside from this BK solo blast, Josh and the Smash Bros would close out Game 3 with relative ease to win the game 18-2, take the series 2-1, and retain the Power Surge belt and earn the bonus point that goes along with that. Smash Bros now flaunt the Power Surge belt, a share of the league's best record, and are doing cartwheels over their lead in the standings, thanks in part to the bonus points they've earned defending the belt. Meanwhile, the Savages fall to 6-2, but remain in solid position for a top 3 seed, and both teams will have big series coming up in Slate 5.
Alright, let's fucking do it. Let's do this shit.
The Dynasty vs. Stunners series is a crucial one, but every game is crucial when you're 1-7, like Dynasty. But even for the Stunners who come in at 3-5, every game from here on out will be a tooth and nail fight for a playoff berth. And while the Stunners would come with their usual 4-man lineup, Dynasty would be without 2 of their players, one of which was Matt Butcham, who is probably their best player. The first blow would be struck by Dynasty, and it would be struck quickly, as the leadoff hitter of the series, Dan Charmello, took this pitch from Aussie and deposited it in left field. Aussie would try to fight back against the early deficit and against his reputation as a slow starter, but he didn't help either cause as he walked the next 2 batters, then got Omar to pop out, before issuing another walk to load the bases for Dynasty's Justin Merrill. The double would bring in 2 runs to make it a 3-0 game, and although Aussie would go on to get out of the inning with no further damage, Dynasty was more than happy with the early 3-run lead and to send their ace, Chris Hess, to the mound. Hess had basically let it be known that he was ticked off at the Stunners coming into this series, and he came out pitching like it, retiring the Stunners with ease in the first. Dynasty would bring another run across in the top of the second, with this 2-out bases loaded walk to Hess, before Aussie got Omar to pop out to end the frame. The 4-0 lead would be more than enough for Chris Hess, though, who would continue to simply dominate the Stunners lineup. The only hit that Hess would give up would be this single that barely snuck over the singles line.
It was on the grass the whole time.
And despite Aussie not allowing another run on the mound for the Stunners, their offense would have to put up runs to win the game, and Chris Hess simply wasn't going to let that happen. As he closed out the Stunners in the bottom of the fourth, he ended it with this shuddering strikeout.
Yo, let's go!
Dynasty gets a very satisfying and much-needed Game 1 victory, 4-0.
Roll it up, ready to the next one.
Fucking bloodbath.
Is that what you call that? Or nothing, that's a bloodbath.
In Game 2, Dynasty started Omar Hussein, who the Stunners beat on opening day 9-2, and who still refuses to wear his team's jersey. While for the Stunners, Aussie would once again take the mound. And this game would start exactly like the first, with a leadoff home run. The solo shot was the first sign of life from the Stunners offense, and gave them a quick 1-0 lead. A second sign of life came later in the inning, when Aussie singled to load the bases with one out, and then Zay walked to bring in a run. Omar was able to avoid the big inning, though, with this 2-out bases-loaded strikeout of KG. After quickly falling behind, Dynasty's offense would respond in the bottom half of the inning, when Justin Mara singled, Hess walked, and Omar went nuclear. The 3-run blast turned a quick 2-run deficit into an even quicker 1-run lead. But to Aussie's credit, and third baseman Mike Curtin, the Stunners were able to get out of the inning without further damage. After a first inning that saw a combined 5 runs scored, the second inning would see even more. It started in the top half when Mike Curtin and Corey Zay hit back-to-back singles to load the bases for the Stunners. Then with one out, Aussie stepped in and provided his own run support with this grand slam. The home run gave the Stunners a 6-3 lead, and this time it would be to Omar's credit when he wouldn't allow any more runs in the inning. In the bottom half of the second, it would be Dynasty's turn to hit back, and they would do so on the backs of this Omar Hussein single, followed by Dan Charmello going yard, this time from the left side of the plate. The 2-run blast pulled Dynasty within a run at 6-5, but that would be all they would get, thanks in part to this inning-ending double play. After the first 2 innings produced a combined 11 runs scored, somehow in the third inning, there would be a combined none. In the top of the fourth, the Stunners tacked on a run with this KG solo blast. Later in the inning, though, Dynasty's Justin Mara made this bases-loaded inning-ending play at third to keep it a 7-5 Stunners lead, heading into Dynasty's last at-bat. In the bottom of the fourth, the first batter for Dynasty grounded to Mike Curtin at third. The second batter struck out. And the third batter went right back to Mike, as the Stunners secured the 7-5 victory in Game 2 to set up an insanely important Game 3. And unbeknownst to us at the time, Game 3 would go down as a possible turning point in the season and be a game to remember for one side, and for the other, a game to forget. In Game 3, the Stunners went to Mike Curtin, as they have all season, while for Dynasty, they put their Game 1 starter Chris Hess back on the mound in hopes that he could once again dominate the Stunners lineup. This game, like the first two, would have some first-inning fireworks. And speaking of fireworks, Chris Hess wanted to make sure he could be seen from outer space, being too ashamed to wear his team's jersey. It started when Dynasty put 2 on with 1 out, and Omar sent this ball to the wall.
Get back, bitch. Then pop the fucking foul guard. Yeah.
The Stunners' KG couldn't handle it, and the ball ended up over the fence for a 3-run homer. Mike Curtin didn't let the early shake-up get to him, though, as he settled down and handled this one-hopper for out number 2, and then struck out the human highlighter for out number 3. In the bottom of the first, the Stunners' offense did better against Chris Hess in their first 4 hitters than they did in all of Game 1, after 2 singles by Mike Curtin and KG. After a walk to Aussie loaded the bases with 2 outs, Mike Curtin stepped to the plate.
No, they don't think you're going to hit this ball, Mike. Wrong. Oh, he bobbled it! Hey, something!
The routine grounder should have been the 3rd out and gotten Dynasty out of the inning with a 3-0 lead. But not only would it allow the inning to continue, it may have just turned the entire season for both teams. Because the very next pitch was a grounder to first, where the bobbling became contagious. The bobble brought in another run to make it a 3-2 game. Then KG drew this walk to tie the game at 3. And then Aussie drew another walk to give the Stunners a 4-3 lead. And then Mike Curtin, who started the rally, ended it. The Grand Slam activated the mercy rule for the inning, with an 8 ball for the Stunners.
So what is that, 8-3?
You got it. And after gaining that 8-3 advantage, the Stunners wouldn't look back, as both pitchers would keep the opposing offense off the board for the next couple of innings.
Right fucking at you.
In the bottom of the 4th, Mike got Omar to ground out for the 1st out. Then got Dan Charmello to cheat.
Oh, what you gonna do? That's
a strike.
I pulled back.
Then single. Then walked Justin Mara. Then walked Chris Hess to load the bases. Then struck out Omar for out number 2. And finally struck out Dan Cheater Mello to end the game. The Stunners take the game 8-3 thanks to the bobble heard around the world, and take the series 2-1. They moved to 5-6 on the season, while Dynasty dropped to an unthinkable 2-9, and will have a bye in the next slate to work on mapping out a route to the playoffs. But before we move on to Slate 5, let's take a look at the standings after Slate 4. The Stunners hold steady in the middle of the pack, while Dynasty's hill to climb becomes steeper and steeper. And at the top of the standings, it's Smash Bros. And DX leading the way, with the Savages lurking in that 3 spot. Let's put a bow on Slate 4, though, and look ahead to the full schedule for Slate 5. We start with Arm Barn looking to rebound after that exhausting series against DX, taking on the Untouchables, who are hoping to capture their first win of the season. The next series in Slate 5 has all the fixins, with DX and Smash Bros. Being a battle of the top 2 teams in the standings, a rematch of our feature game from opening day, a rematch from last season's championship series, and the Power Surge belt will be on the line. Will Smash Bros. Give up the power for the first time this season, and who will have the inside track to the top overall seed? The final series of Slate 5 will be our feature series between the Savages and the Stunners. In addition to being a series that Dynasty will have a very close eye on, this is a crossroads series in many ways. Both teams will know coming out of this series if they will be fighting the rest of the way for a playoff spot or for a top 3 seed. The end of Slate 5 will mark the midway point of the season, and the pressure to perform will start to intensify each slate. That's going to do it for now, as we remind you to please like this video and subscribe to our channel, where we upload new videos every Thursday. For all of us at Electric City Wiffle, I'm Mitch Hipshooter saying, see you next Thursday for the Slate 5 feature series.
Lord have mercy.
Oh,